Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, January 26th, 9:02 a.m., and I am late to my own market open. And I'm not proud that I'm late, okay? I'm not happy that I'm late. And I think a lot of you guys, I know exactly what you guys are thinking. You're like, you know what? Amit did 4 streams yesterday. He did the market open, market close, the PayPal event. Actually, he did 5. Then he did this new podcast he's starting. By the way, really good podcast with Jose. We talked about semiconductors and video, all that stuff. Then he did Finance Junkies. He's tired. That's why he couldn't make it to the market open. That's why he's 16 minutes late, because he's too tired to wake up in the morning and go to work. Boo-hoo. Amit just needed to get some sleep. That's why he couldn't make it. That's not why I'm late. I'm late because I woke up in the morning and I had to use the bathroom. And for some reason, and I don't know what the reason is, I'm on the bathroom, the thing in the bathroom, the toilet, for like 20 minutes because there's something going on in my system. And I'm just watching the clock tick by. I'm just looking at my phone. I'm like, 8:41, 8:42. And I'm like, can I finish what I'm doing here in 3 minutes and make it at 8:45? And I'm just thinking to myself, I really want to, but it's not going to happen. And then, I was like, well, if I'm missing the 8:45, I might as well just let, whatever has to happen. So that is the reason I'm late today. It has nothing to do with not waking up on time. Quite frankly, I've never missed the market open outside of the one time I was in California and then the one time I took my mom to the hospital back in May of 2023. I know the amount of times I missed the market open. It's been 3 times, because there's another day in California. So 3 times in the past year. And you can check the YouTube history for that. Like, that's 3 times. So it was not because I was sleepy, dude. If I woke up at 8:44 a.m., I would be live by 8:46. Like, that has happened before. It is what it is. But like, I make sure I go. Like, that's not an issue. The issue was this toilet seat was calling my name today. I mean, I don't know if it was the pit in my stomach left by that ridiculous event yesterday by PayPal, or it was Tesla deciding to fall 12% in a day while the S&P 500 hits all-time highs. I don't know if that left a pit in my stomach or if it was the fish and rice I ate yesterday. The fish and rice was fine, so it wasn't rotten fish. So I don't know. I don't think it's the fish and rice. I think it was PayPal and Tesla. I think that's what happened. I think that's what ended up happening. Thank you all for being here. We got a lot to talk about. PayPal will be reacting to what happened on the event yesterday. Tesla, we'll be talking about that. We have some macro news. United States personal spending came in, and it was actually a way better than expected. Right now, the market's actually doing phenomenal in the pre-market. Bitcoin's doing well. Regular stocks are doing well. Mag 7 doing well. So we'll talk about all that stuff, get through it, and see everything that's going on. But overall, market's not too bad right now in the pre-market, and I think it's because of some of the macro news that we got. Ray, Midwest, SP Narwhal, Dale, Tabor, Ali, Craft Jan, Abhishek, good morning. Can't live without Amit's Market Open. Abhishek, thank you so much for being here, even though I am late. Sethi Ross, Trucker Rob, General Weenus. You replaced the W with a P, and it would sound kind of funny. Thank you for being here. Johnny says Amit's shirt reminds me of my shower curtain. The amount of insults you guys figure out a way to come up with, and like, I love them. I'll take them. I mean, my skin is as thick. My skin is so thick. If you saw it at a club, you would ask for its number, right? So it's not about the insults. It's just the creativity is phenomenal. Mr. Seymour Duck, Midwest, Pouncher through that 3030. That's Adam. Jay Schwash, Miami Ren, Altal, Thomas, Gerald, D, Chris Patel's in the chat. Altal, Tony, Bot, Skip Sip, Sean Trades, Richard Lang. All right. Let's get into it. All right, last one. Kaiser, your stomach was shocked. Yes, that is why I'm late, because freaking PayPal said they would shock the world, and the only thing that was shocked this morning was my stomach trying to recover from that ridiculous event we had yesterday. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's do what we got to do, and we'll talk. FR310 says, Amit, good morning, Amit. Did you stop by the SoFi Stadium when you came down to LA? I did not. It was a very quick trip. Did not step by the SoFi Stadium. But, I'm assuming it's an iconic stadium, and one day, hopefully, I'll probably go to some event that's there. SoFi earnings, January 29th. We'll actually do a little bit of SoFi preview as well and talk about them today here. We'll make the stream a little bit longer since I was like 20 minutes late. We'll end at like 10:30-ish instead, as normal. Okay, so what do we start with first? I think first of all, let's just take a look at what's happening in the pre-market. Let's do a little bit of equities first, and then we'll get into some of the other bigger names that happened yesterday. Intel had earnings as well, and they were down 10% last time I checked yesterday. So let's look at Intel right now. Yeah, Intel's down another 10%, but still down 10% right now in the pre-markets. Okay, so we'll talk about why Intel's down. Their guidance sucked. They said they're going to do $12 billion next quarter. They did $15.4 billion this quarter. I don't know, dude. Intel at 23 definitely seemed like not a value trap, but a deep value opportunity. Intel at 49, I don't know if it, because again, their all-time high is 63. It's been stuck there for like 20 years at this point. So for them to break out of that and like really start growing like in AMD and NVIDIA in terms of stock price with 10% year-over-year growth, I don't know. They traded at 26 PE, which is not ridiculous, quite frankly, but it's also compared to some of the other guys. But in terms of the growth, it's like maybe it is kind of ridiculous. So we'll talk more about Intel, but they, their earnings were not the best. SMCI is down a little bit in the pre-markets. Tesla recovering up 1.49% in the pre-markets. It hit 180 at the bottom yesterday, now at 185. Currently, it ended yesterday at 182. So I don't know, dude. For Tesla, I genuinely think that over the next couple months, it's going to be a stock that is in a tough position because there's not really a massive tailwind. There's not really a massive tailwind. The only way Tesla gets back to that 220 range is if pure momentum from people that want to buy the dip carries it back there. But on a fundamental basis, given everything we heard on the call, market cap now $580 billion, it probably deserves to hover around that $580 billion range. Probably not, deserving of an $800 billion market cap, given the lack of growth and the lack of in volume and the lack of growth in margins. And management admitted it themselves, right? And that's okay. But we'll see, where the stock ends up going and what momentum takes it higher or lower. CleanSpark up 5.56% in the pre-markets. SMH, the semiconductor fund, down about 1.42%. NVIDIA, I think, is selling off a little bit, or is it up? NVIDIA's up. No, it's selling off a little bit. So it's down 0.61%, 612. And then Palantir up 0.24% on the day as well. So nothing too crazy there. Gift Magic says it opened a new Tesla position at 181. Not bad at all. Pretty much everyone says they're either buying the dip on Tesla or waiting for a little bit lower. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's pretty much the same feeling that I have as well. Jagnor Singh says, thank God I can start my day. Admit is here. That is right. You can have your morning coffee today. By the way, guys, I'm fasting today. I am fasting today. So I've officially started my weight loss journey. Last week I was, wow, the collar wasn't even out on the shirt. Last week I was 163. So far I'm 159. We got to make sure by Sunday night we stay at that 159 range. That'll be a solid 3 to 4 pounds. That's like off. And then we'll start making our way to 155. And then we'll make our way to 150. And then we'll make our way to 145. By end of February, I'm calling it. I'll be 145. Like it's going to be a thing. Like the little bit of extra skin you see on this neck, that'll be gone. Just like it was in October. It'll be gone. So I'm fasting today because I also think my stomach needs to fast, quite frankly. We can admit it's not fasting. Dude, I'm fasting. I'm fasting. Like I might have maybe like a latte or something, but that's it. That is literally it. Maybe that and water, and that's it. That is it. I'm not eating food. And it's tough because on a Friday, you want to order food, you want to go out. I got fucking Palantir Weekly. I got to stay up late, and on an empty stomach, it's kind of hard to focus. But I'm fasting. I'm doing it. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up and have a healthy breakfast, and then we're gonna get the stomach in check and do what we got to do. When is Palantir earnings? February 5th. We'll be live on the channel. February 5th. You just lost 5 pounds in the bathroom. Amit, what height are you? I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a good day, though. How are you fasting when you look so delicious? Dude, that right there, that's the line. That's the line. That's the line. Yeah, I'm using that. Next time my girl says she's fasting, I'm like, wait a second. How are you fasting when you look so delicious? That's great. It's great. It's phenomenal. Okay, so let's recap PayPal. I think PayPal had a pretty good event. The problem with their event was that they chose to do it live, which I did not like. They didn't choose to do it live, which I wasn't a fan of. They just posted a YouTube video. And my thing is, if you're going to post a YouTube video, that's fine. But you could have just like advertised the YouTube video, marketing the YouTube video as like the shock the world event for a 17-minute, video. Like, dude, there's a billion people that post videos every day. Like, it's not that shocking. Like, going live is what creates the momentum and attention, renting a venue, all that stuff. I wish they would have done that. So that was my only problem with the PayPal event, is that they didn't invite journalists. They didn't invite small businesses and just like have a little event, have a fireside chat. They just put a video up. And in the video, the audio wasn't even good, dude. They were in some big area where there's a high ceiling. So like the echo was there. And I'm like, they could have used AI to like get rid of the echo. Like those tools exist. And they didn't even do that. So I know they're just, figuring out what AI is, but they could have used it to help their video. Now, 3 takeaways. Smart receipts. Customers can check their receipts a lot and PayPal will recommend purchases. That's okay. Not amazing, but maybe it'll help conversion rates for merchants. Then advanced order platforms. This is their version of building out a mini Amazon inside of PayPal. I have no clue how this is going to work. Quite frankly, I'm not bullish or bearish. I'm just confused if people would actually use an integrated app that allows you to buy in buy products through recommendations via PayPal. Not sure. Maybe cool. Kind of skeptical if that's going to work, but look, let's see what happens. We'll give them a couple months. And then Venmo business and cashback offers. This is the one I liked because this to me creates the most stickiest product. It creates the most impressions for small businesses to get exposure. It creates the most advertising revenue because those small businesses will use Venmo as a PPC kind of conversion platform for advertising versus just pure brand impressions like what exists on Twitter. And it should lead to more transactions on Venmo, even though, Venmo transactions are already so crazy in terms of just the amount of them, but more meaningful transactions, which should streamline revenue and increase top line margins, maybe increasing transaction margins for PayPal writ large, especially with those cashback offers. So that was the thing I liked the most. I think advanced order platforms will be second in terms of if they can get this to scale. I just don't know if people are going to start buying things literally through PayPal versus with PayPal. Okay. So that was my biggest thing. And I think I would have believed in more if they went live and they said 3,500 small businesses are using all this shit. They posted like a small video of them working with BigCommerce. BigCommerce is another platform that small businesses use, e-commerce businesses, to do checkouts. And they said they increased their conversion rates by 70%. I'm like, okay, dude, you're just giving me numbers at this point. Like, give me emotion. Get me the small, coffee shop in Seattle that's using Venmo businesses or using, maybe the store that's doing $1 million revenue that's using BigCommerce, and like interview them, give them 5 minutes where they can actually talk on stage. Like, that's what I needed. And I know maybe that's asking too much from a payments company. Maybe I'm asking too much for an Apple Silicon Valley type event. But I mean, your stock's in the gutter. You said you would shock the world. That doesn't seem like the craziest thing to do in that situation. It really doesn't. So I wish they did something like that. That would have been cooler. And it would have been fun. Adam says, for everyone complaining about the event, you need to remember they're only just getting started. Dude, that was the most cringe part right at the end of the video. And he was like, the CEO was like, and remember. And I was like, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. We're just getting started. And I was like, oh my God. He just like, is this an episode of Silicon Valley that I'm watching? Like, did he just say we're just getting like if the people that were making the script for that show, they had to have some feeling like this is going to be ridiculous if he says it. But he said it. He said it. Nonetheless, it is what it is. The event happened. I think the event will do good. CleanSpark up 5.7% in the pre-market. And I think if the event's going to do good, then, it's going to eventually lead to the numbers. And I think honestly, I'll go out on a limb. I'll say by August, the stock's at 90 to 100. That's my thoughts. And that's when I would sell out of it. I don't want to sell it before we get to 90 to 100. But the innovations have to put a dent in the bottom line numbers. And if we don't see the dent in the bottom line numbers, the stock's going to be tough. Granted, again, a stock usually stays stuck at a certain price range when Wall Street has given up hope that the company can change. I think the new CEO, the abandonment of those policies, those woke misinformation policies, and a ton of innovations, even if the presentation wasn't the best, it is enough for Wall Street to at least be excited enough to be like, okay, show me the numbers. And that's what you need. And then if the valuation is at dirt cheap levels, which in the past, 10 years, it's at, 2014 levels, I think that if any improvement happens on top line growth, you're going to see upside to the price. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. And so we'll go from there. Wow. Look at what Kelly says in the chat. Oh, hi. Sorry I'm late. I got tired of waiting and moved on with my life. That's wild, dude. That's wild. She was like, I got tired of waiting for you, and so I forgot about your show. Well, thank you to the other 630 or 650, 660 people that are here that did not forget about the show and were not tired of waiting. I appreciate that. That means the world. Speaking of Kelly, by the way, let me just do a quick little interlude right here. Not only did PayPal and Tesla tank yesterday, I cheated on my girl in her dreams and had to make sure she knew I was loyal in real life. So as I'm watching PayPal and Tesla just tank the bed yesterday, I get a text saying, hey, I'm upset at you. And I'm like, what did I do? What could I possibly have done? All I'm doing is losing money in the stock market, and now I've upset you. And it's because I was cheating on someone in their dreams. So I just, this is what I tweeted last night. I said, I'm sorry if I cheated you in your dreams. And she said, thank you. I needed that. So PayPal shocked the world event and Tesla down 12% is nothing when your girl wakes up mad at you because you looked at Jessica a certain way in her dreams. Why was her name Jessica? I don't know. I don't know why her name was Jessica, but her name was Jessica. And for some reason in Kelly's dreams, I'm looking at Jessica. So yesterday was a tough day overall, dude. It's money in the stock market. You got your girl upset because she wakes up and she has a bad dream about you. It is what it is. It was a tough day. All right. Having said that, let's talk about Tesla and let's see what is going on with Tesla. Now, one of the interesting things about Tesla yesterday is that I think a lot of investors honestly felt that the dip is not over. And because the dip is not over, a lot of people I feel are being hesitant on Tesla. Now, a lot of people are buying. I know Tesla Boomer Mama. She's like a big Tesla influencer. She bought $30,000 worth of Tesla yesterday, which is okay, cool. I think she bought it like 185, 190, whatever. I think there are people saying wait and see because there's not really a catalyst coming up for Tesla that's super substantial. And I want to play this clip. I thought this was the best video I saw yesterday on what's going on with Tesla. This is from Dan Ives, who called it a train wreck. He was just very upset. And then who else was he talking to? And Tasha from ARK. Okay, Dan Ives and Tasha from ARK. They're talking about it. Tasha's being a little bit more in the, well, things are going to change. And Dan Ives is like, well, let's be a little bit more real. I thought this was a really good conversation. So let's see what they have to say. If you agree with Tasha, you're buying the dip. If you agree with Dan Ives, you're waiting to buy the dip. And that's why I thought this was important to take a look at. Here we go.
What the margin guidance is ultimately going to be, how many more price cuts. And I think that's the frustration. At a time that investors need adults in the room, it felt more like preschool. And I think that was a conference call. You're going to see pressure on the stock. The long-term story doesn't change. And Tasha, I'm sure you'll agree. But in the near term, the bears win.
I'll put this question to both of you, Dan, just because you brought this up a moment ago and we mentioned this in the intro. Is it as simple as interest rates not being in Tesla's favor, or is there something else at play within the broader EV demand landscape? I'll go to you, Dan, first, and then I'll get your thoughts, Tasha.
Look, demand overall has actually been pretty strong relative to, if you think about how bad it could have been, 35% plus growth, call it 18, 20% this year for 24. The reason the stock's down, it's because of margins. And I think 80% of the reason the stock's down is communication, 20% results.
Tasha, I want to get your thoughts on that as well. And I'll layer on perhaps this additive, a new model. Is that really going to spur demand the way that some investors were hoping for or might have anticipated?
Yeah, well, I think, Dan said it, right? I think that the focus should be on the long term here. And a lot of investors currently right now are focused on the short term. Hey, look, Tesla's not immune to changes in interest rates, right? But when you look at the auto industry as a whole, they are, one of the only electric vehicle manufacturers that has this profitability. And we heard on the call that they're able to reduce costs at really an unprecedented rate, when analysts think it's over 10% a year. And they said they see further opportunity for cost reduction. So, they've cemented their lead in electric vehicles. I think if you want to talk about the next year or so, we should be talking about robo-taxis, right? We heard that full self-driving version 12, their latest.
This is the part I disagree with. I don't know why after a crappy earnings, she's trying to get us to think about robo-taxis, because I don't think that's the sentiment needed to get the stock higher. I really don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I guess ARK, wanted to go with.
Version of autonomous driving software is going to roll out to more customers in North America soon. I think that shows confidence in their autonomous capability. And as you know, we think that's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. We also heard that Optimus might ship next year. General purpose robots for manufacturing alone, we think could be a $10 trillion market as a whole. So we're really excited for those AI opportunities. This is one of the greatest AI stories of our time.
And Tasha, you've been a long-term bull here on Tesla. But Dan, let's talk about what is going to happen here over the next 1 or 2 years, because 2024, it looks like from the commentary there, it's going to set up to be a very challenging year, or a challenging year, I should say, for Tesla. Is 2025, is that going to look much better?
Look, and I think, Tasha, we agree 100% from an AI perspective. That could be multiples of what the stock's worth today from an EV opportunity. But 2024, you need to hold the line on margin. You cannot continue to cut prices. I think if this is a trough period, next few quarters, then this is the low. But it comes down to the communication, because investors want to hear guidance to sort of navigate this period. When the plane's crashing in the near term, you're not focused on salted or unsalted pretzels.
That line right there is why Dan Ives is Dan Ives. When the plane is crashing in the near term, you're not worried about unsalted or salted pretzels. I was like, dude, I heard that last night. I was like, damn, that was good. And the way he said it too, he just hit it. That was really good. It was great. But I agree with him. Look, at the end of the day, it comes down to communication. Dan Ives and Gary Black were upset because they felt that the call didn't communicate guidance for the volumes, guidance for the margins, and really just an overarching picture of what's going to happen. And I'm sympathetic to Elon because at the end of the day, he's like, look, maybe we get Optimus out to some, clients next year. Next generation, by end of 2025, we'll probably get it up and running. Cybertruck, we have demand, but we just have to ramp up production. And I can't control interest rates. And from that perspective, I'm very sympathetic to Elon really being like, guys, I'm trying my hardest here, but like, you got to give me some grace. The Fed is like, it's hard. It's hard. And we still sold 1.2 million vehicles, right? Like we are the best selling car in the world. And, it's a tough story. But in the context of how it was communicated on just a more like, I guess, technical way, like if they had included some numbers and some level of just like, here's what we're expecting, it would have been easier for them to dissect. But in general, I think this dip is because it's because of margins. And quite frankly, it's because that Wall Street doesn't see that there's tailwinds in the next few coming months, but that's okay. Because that to me is a DCA year. That really is a DCA year. And, we'll see how that year ends up playing out. I would not be super excited to buy Tesla 185. If it goes back to 200, then whatever, right? It's not that big of a deal. But I think a much better deal is waiting below 185, below 180, when, the next earnings doesn't go that well. And when there's a macro thing. I mean, here's one thing I want you guys to think about, and then we'll move on into the inflation news we got today. That was actually very good, which is why the market's up right now. I mean, take a look at this. Well, first of all, let me just share this. Kathy Wood did buy the dip. She bought 177,000 shares. She had to. Because if she didn't buy the dip yesterday, the whole market, this is the harsh thing about being an ETF manager that's so out there. If you don't buy the dip, especially on a 12% down day, that means you think there's more to come. And you're kind of catch-22 because even if you do think there's more to come, you don't want it to get that aggressive. So you kind of got to show people, well, we're still excited. And so that's $32 million that Kathy put into it. 148,000 in the RKK fund, 29,000 in the ARKW fund. She also bought a ton of Ginkgo yesterday, which she's going to go down with the ship, or Ginkgo is going to be a 10x for her. I don't know what's happened, but Ginkgo, she bought 600,000 shares. And then actually 700,000, another 100,000 ARKG. And then here's a thought experiment. Tesla's 180 while the S&P is 485, 488 right now. Okay. All-time highs on the S&P. If the S&P sees a 10% retracement, that's 436. If Tesla doesn't recover before that, recovering would mean get to 250. Where is Tesla if the S&P drops 10%? And the reason I'm saying a 10% drop is because every year, at least one time, I don't know if historically I'm accurate that every single year this happens, but I feel like a far majority of years in the stock market, you get a 10% pullback. Even if it's short-lived. I mean, we got a 10% pullback from September to October 31st in 2023. And then we got a 9% gain in November, and then I think like a 5% gain in December. So we get the 10% pullbacks. They happen. The question is, when do they happen? Even Tom Lee thinks it's happening in the first half of the year, so before June. If that happens, I mean, the S&P gets to 436, Tesla gets sold off. And I think it's something to take into account, because if Tesla does not recover to like 250-ish while the S&P is at all-time highs, then if the S&P drops and Tesla's still hovering around 180, 190, Tesla's going to 150. Like that's just the nature of it. Apple's going to 165, right? It's going to happen. And so it's something to think about. If you expect a 10% drop eventually, maybe we don't get it this year. Maybe this year is just great and it's just a full bull run and whatever. But if it does, then it's something to think about in regards to how inflation will operate. Miguel says, every time I try to time Tesla, I miss the dip. Just buy 5 shares away on the way down. You'll miss it in a minute. Look, I agree with you. And I'm not waiting for like 150 or 140 or anything like that. I'm not buying at 185. But I think the far majority of people should, dip their toes every time it goes down another $4 or $5. I agree. I'm just saying if you wanted to make a big order right now, you got to really, because a lot of people make big orders at 200 and 215 and all this stuff because they were like, all right, it's down from 290. Like, this is it. Things can get worse, and it's not Tesla's fault. It's because of the macro. Now, granted, the inflation news we got today, which kind of determines a lot about what's going to happen with Tesla, is this. This was some really good shit we got yesterday in regards to inflation, or sorry, this morning in regards to inflation in the PCE report. Kelly says, you told me not to buy. Yes. Yeah. Kelly asked me yesterday, should I buy? And I was like, no. Just don't buy. And she almost had a 185 order ready to go, and then she canceled it because that sucker was dropping to like 182. I would just say wait a little bit. That's all. But if you want to dip your toes, that's fine. 5, 10 shares, whatever. But if it's like a 30, 40, 100 share order, I would just split it up and go down the drain versus all at once. Okay, so big news today. Fed's favorite inflation, the PCE, rose 0.2% in December, below expectations. So the Commerce Department's Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index for December, an important gauge for the Federal Reserve, increased 0.2% on the month and was up 2.9% on a yearly basis, excluding food and energy. Economists surveyed had been looking for respective increases of 0.2% and 3%. So we came in below expectations, which is very, very good. That's why the market's up right now. On a monthly basis, core inflation increased from 0.1% in November. However, the annual rate declined 3.2%. This is the lowest rate of PCE we've had since March 2021, which is not bad at all. Including volatile food and energy costs, the headline inflation also rose 0.2% for the month. That held steady at 2.6% annually. So in general, it just talks about how, we did really good. You exclude certain things, it's looking a lot better. And it's not like the number is amazing and the CPI for January is going to be 2%, even though Truflation has us at, what does Truflation have us at today? I think they have us at 1.9. But it does show that inflation is coming down and the story is going to end. And, we saw the report. We got 2 minutes until the market open. We saw the report yesterday, okay? 1.79% from Truflation. We saw the report yesterday from the bank. The Federal Reserve is stopping the bank term funding program that they started in March of 2023. The only way they can stop that program, let me be very clear about this, is if they're cutting rates. If they do not stop that, if they stop that program, which means that program essentially gives banks a much more reasonable rate at which they can loan out loans to people so that the delta between the Fed's fund rate and the rate they're loaning them out does not increase their AOIC losses. The only way they do that is if they're lowering rates. And so meet Kevin yesterday. I was listening to him talk about this. Based on what the Fed did, he was anti-March cut for the past 3 months. Now he thinks there's going to be a March cut. Why? Because the Fed can't do this. Either they're trying to screw over all the regional banks and all the bigger banks. I mean, the bigger banks won't be screwed as much as the regionals, or they know that rates have to get cut soon. And given the regionals rallied yesterday, because I didn't expect the regionals to rally, I think the market also is calling the Fed's bluff. And they're saying, no, you guys are going to cut. You guys know what the hell you're doing. You're going to cut. And so I think that's what's happening right now, which means that March cut, if CPI comes in nice January and February, I mean, I know analysts have said the projections have come down for March cut, but maybe based on what the Fed did yesterday, it was actually pretty bullish to see them cut that funding program, and we might actually get a cut. And if that happens, that would be pretty good. That would be definitely pretty good for the broader equity markets. All right, here we go. It is January 26th, Friday. We got to the end of the week. Thank you, everybody, for joining the stream. No matter what stream you join, this entire week means the absolute world to me. 9:30 a.m., the stock market, once again, is open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Let's get into it. Palantir, 1647, green for the day, up 0.12%. Not bad on Palantir. We'll get back to them in a second. NVIDIA, taking a little bit of a breather, down 1.35%. Makes sense. NVIDIA is up almost 27% over the past 3 weeks. So NVIDIA now at $608, down 1.3%. The idea that NVIDIA is at 608 and we're saying it's taking a breather and it was stuck at 470 to 490 for the past basically year. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. SMCI down about 2.27%. ASML down about 0.77%. AMD down 2.3%. There's two reasons I think they're down. Number one, it's Friday. They ran up a lot this week. They're selling off. Number two is Intel crapped the bed on earnings. And so that wasn't the best for the semis. Intel now down 9% on the day at $44.83. Again, guidance they said was going to be $12 billion. They did $15 billion this quarter. So guidance was just not as good as what the street wanted. PayPal, $60.29, down about 0.7% on the day. Robinhood, $10.75. I bought a crap ton of Robinhood, and I'm buying a crap ton of more Robinhood today. Specifically the $25 call option for January 2025. I have 137 of those contracts now. They've become extremely cheap given Robinhood has fell from 13 to 1074. And so my plan for those is sell them after earnings. I think earnings will get a pop back to 13. That's my guess. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe we fall to $7. No clue. But my expectation is we pop up to 13. Those call options are going to double. And, hopefully the 10 grand I put into them turns into 20 grand. And that's all of my Roth as well. So that would be nice to see that happen. But that is what I'm doing on Robinhood right now. I'm not touching my core Robinhood position. I'm just loading up on the $25 calls. Not going to wait till they get to $25. I don't know if Robinhood gets to 25, but I do think Robinhood can get to 13, 14. And if that happens, I think those call options either double or get up, 60, 70%. So that is my That is my play on earnings when it comes to Robinhood. But again, they expire in 2025. So even if Robinhood craps this earnings, they have time to recover. So it's not a weekly or monthly type of option on those. Netflix 559, that's down 0.36%. KRE, that's up. Regional Banking Fund. ServiceNow, they had really good earnings. I'm going to pull up their numbers in a second. 766 on these guys. They're down about 0.14%, but they popped a couple days ago. Rumble is up 1.2%. TFC 3774. That one's doing nice. Celsius is still down. Celsius is not getting any love from the market yet. And maybe that means this is the accumulation phase for a lot of people that want to get in on Celsius. But Celsius right now has been down the entire day. Google, look at Google. Look at Google run, 153. I love it. Look at Google run. Google is continuing to get some momentum here. And Google's getting higher at 154. Philip Rizzo says, you bet your entire Roth on hood calls. I mean, yeah. It's like, dude, it's like 10 grand anyway. It's like, dude, for a Roth, if there's no taxes on trading in and out. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's double that and let's get 20 grand and let's dump it into Palantir. That's kind of the goal. That's what I'm trying to do. So let's see what happens. We'll dude, I believe that Robinhood's gonna do well after earnings. I see the setup. I believe it. I already have those calls. I have a really good average on those calls. So let's see what the fuck happens. We'll see. Mr. Seymour Duck, $5 super chat. Thank you. Elon Musk is no longer the richest person. Bernard Arnault from LVMH's. Wow. LVMH. This is one we don't look at often. We got to have it on the watch list. LVMH is at it hit a 52-week high today. LVMH stock. LVMH, yeah, it's at 700. If Webull is correct, 781 right now. Maybe it's not an all-time high, but it's definitely higher. Huh? Well, Bernard Arnault is rich today. He is richer than Tesla. Where's Tesla? We didn't even check on Tesla. Tesla's 185. Tesla's green. Tesla's green. Look at that. Tesla's green. Not bad at all for Tesla being green. Here we go. With a Roth account, do you pay taxes on your profits? No, that's the point. That's also why I'm doing it, because like it's a very attractive setup and like there's no taxes. So if it does well, then I could just take the money and dump it into Palantir after. Like my goal is to have full port Roth into Palantir. But I just want to have some more money in there before I can do that. And to make money, you got to, take some risk. And Palantir is more of a long-term hold. It's not really that much of a risk. So short-term, let's see if we can take some risk and then dump it in there. And then you got Robinhood up $10.91, up 1.967% of the day. Okay, so Robinhood's doing well. Let's go to crypto miners. Where are the crypto miners? Crypto. Wow, they're green. Look at all that green. Wow. CleanSpark up 5.89%. Coinbase up 3.4%. Marathon up 5.78%. Hut 8 Mining, dude, this stock, hold on, let me look at this real quick. Hut 8 Mining was destroyed like on Monday on the week. Yeah, it's up 13%. It fell to 630. So if you got it at 630, it's at 803 right now, which is not too bad at all. So that one is, yeah, you're up 27% if you got the bottom on Hut 8 Mining. You're up 27%. It's up 13% for the week, but you're up 27% if you got it on the bottom. Wow, that's not too bad. Look at that. So they had a short report that came out about them. It was a pretty scary short report. They fell to 630, and now they're up at 813. Not bad. MicroStrategy is up 2.27%. Bitfarms is up 6.69%. Cypher Mining up 7.2%. Iron up 5.5%. And then we got Coinbase at 3.84%. Not bad at all. Let's look at Mag 7. Magnificent 7. By the way, Jim Cramer officially has taken Tesla out of his Magnificent 7. Officially. He officially said, Tesla's out of my Magnificent 7 and they're not there anymore. Amit, do you think we'll see Palantir 15 again? It depends on guidance. If guidance sucks, we will see 14 on Palantir. By sucks, I mean, if Palantir guides below 20%, the stock is going to tank, in my opinion. If it's at least 22%, we'll be stable. If it's 25%, I think we'll get to the $18, $19 range. That is my kind of criteria. And that's why it's hard to play earnings on Palantir, because I have no clue how they're going to guide. And I study Palantir every daily, and I have no clue how they're going to guide. Amazon is up a little bit. Nvidia's down. Meta's down. Look, Microsoft's down, but it's still holding above 400. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's still holding above 400. Apple, $3 trillion market cap. Microsoft, $3 trillion market cap. We now have two companies that are $3 trillion. Tesla at 185, up 1.3% on the day. So yeah, that's the problem with Tesla. That's the problem with what was I going to say? Well, that's the problem with Palantir. If their guidance isn't good, then they're going to suck. And that's what we have to deal with. Here's Jim Cramer, 30 seconds yesterday, talking about Tesla.
Let's get something straight. After today's 25-point drubbing, Tesla is out of the Magnificent 7. Done. stick a fork in it. We all know it. People are just afraid to say it. Maybe they worry Elon Musk has something up his sleeve, or maybe they're just scared of the guy, or they just like saying Magnificent Seven all the time. Although I bet most of the people have never even seen any of the 3 cinematic iterations. I do not have such trepidation, people. That's because in one earnings report and conference call, Tesla removed itself from this elite group by itself. Let's get something straight.
So he's out. He is officially out of Tesla. And I think that's pretty bullish, quite frankly. I mean, look, Jim Cramer called the Bitcoin top and then it went, or Bitcoin low, and then when we rallied to 49,000, he's said various things in the past. He's called Palantir not a real company. Then Palantir went up 100% after he said that in May 20. He called Palantir not a real company at $8. Like, that was not the time to call them not a real company. That was just not the time. So whenever Cramer is kind of bearish, it's okay. But again, I think, forget Cramer. It's the emotional reaction to Tesla not being a generational company of our freaking lifetimes, of our children's lifetimes. Like, no, it is. It is. But there's going to be some short-term headwinds. That is what it is. There's going to be some short-term headwinds, and that's okay. But it is going to be a generational company, in my opinion. K Katana says, got SoFi $10 calls expiring January 25th. Goodbye. If that was January 25th, 2025, I would say it's a good buy. But if you're doing $10 calls January 25th, well, no, it has to be, right? Because today's January 26th. Yeah. So it has to be Jan 2025. Yes, that's a good buy. I thought you were doing it literally January 25th, but we're in January 26th, so that's okay. Damn, we're already at the end of the year. But yeah, look, I don't know how SoFi is going to perform. Let's talk about SoFi, because the problem with SoFi right now is that they got a ton of upgrades. I think they got 2 upgrades yesterday at about 10 or 11 bucks. I think they're going to produce GAAP profits. The problem is, I also think it's going to be a sell the news when they get the GAAP profits. Like, everyone thinks the GAAP profits are going to make SoFi, a $9, $10 stock. I think it'll be a $9, $10 stock for like an hour, and then it's going to sell off, because at the end of the day, they're a bank that maybe produced $10 or $15 million of profit for for 1 quarter. They've got to replicate that, and they've got to profitably grow. Remember, they've been growing above 30% for the past 8 quarters. When you have to be profitable, it can hinder your growth a little bit. So now the narrative is going to be, okay, well, can you keep up the growth and be profitable? Because we got all these other big banks that are profitable that are not growing. Why should we give you the premium if you're this small little bank that only has $17 billion in assets to grow if you're barely profitable as well? So I think in the context of SoFi, I think they're going to pump and then they're going to sell off. I genuinely think that's going to happen. But the question is, can they pump and retain a little bit of the pump versus fall back down to the $6 range? Because, look, let's say SoFi gets GAAP profitable and then the S&P declines 5 or 10% later in the year. SoFi's coming right back down to the $6, $7 range, right? Like that, we know that's happening. SoFi's not going to maintain $9 or $10 even if the macro is struggling. So they've got to produce GAAP profitability on an ongoing basis with increased growth, which is why, $10 by January 2025, I think that's possible. But I also think, the expectations do have to go lower, because until the market gets excited about them, it's going to be really tough for them to maintain momentum. And remember, the banks are upgrading or downgrading. The banks don't like SoFi because they're taking their business. So you got to remember, the banks never really have the best relationship when it comes to SoFi. Intel, $44 right now, down about 11%. Again, the guidance sucked, and that's why you're seeing Intel have some bad momentum. IBM is at 2011 highs right now at 192. I'm still researching why IBM is doing so well. I think the main reason is they're, touting they have some AI cloud infrastructure play. I don't really understand it, so I'm going through their earnings. Their earnings on the pure numbers kind of sucked. I mean, their earnings was up 2-3% revenue growth. It's not crazy, but they're giving a narrative to the market that's making the market pretty excited. And so I'm going deeper and trying to figure out what's going on there. Palantir, 1671, up 1.55% of the day. Not bad at all for a Palantir. We're seeing some momentum there, and we got Palantir up right now, so that's not too bad in the context of what we're seeing for Palantir. 1670, Nvidia 610, SMCI 472, Robinhood 1098, that's up 2.26%, SoFi 782, up 2.6%, and Tesla 184 as well. Robinhood $11 now, and Palantir 1673. Okay, let's get an update from Dan Dolev, who is an analyst at Mizuho, talking about his thoughts on PayPal.
Here on set, Mizuho's Dan Dolev. Dan, it's great to have you here. Okay, so they posted a beat for Q4. They also talked about consumer spending remaining resilient. Cross-border volumes are still strong, and yet the stock's down. Why?
Because there's nothing to hope for right now. Basically, they beat a little bit. They raised expense guidance, which is not a good thing. A little bit. They didn't raise the fiscal year revenue guidance. So there's really like stocks work when there's something to hope for, when there's like a beat and raise, right? And they beat, but there's no raise. And then U.S. volumes, especially debit, are decelerating pretty heavily in January. And I think a lot of people are looking at that and they're saying, well, things are good, but you're giving me volumes that are decelerating. What's good about that?
Yeah, you were neutral on the name going into the print. Sounds like you're not going to change that thesis. But I do wonder if there's read through here to, I know you don't cover Amex. They're reporting tomorrow morning. You do cover MasterCard, though. Is there read through to some of these other names?
Yeah, I think it's a read through to the overall economy. I've always said that Visa is a little bit of a kind of call it like a lazy long, right? Because
He's talking about Visa right now, and we'll look at their numbers, but we'll talk about PayPal in a second.
there's no alpha. It's just beta. It's just macro plus pricing plus cash to card, right? So if you get that downward trend in volumes and it's real, then it reads across to Amex, it reads across to MasterCard, it reads across to the entire U.S. economy.
All right, let's talk about PayPal. Now, about a week ago, you came out here, on CNBC, said they're going to shock the world with AI products. New CEO, the world does not appear to be shocked by what actually got announced. 17-minute pre-recorded video, and it's like, okay, well, this is the stuff that you'd expect, PayPal to just kind of announce, and not necessarily generative AI driven either. But the stock is just right back down to where it was before he said they were going to shock the world. So is this bad?
Well, I think we downgraded actually a week ago, right before he went on CNBC, and I have a lot of respect for the PayPal management team, but I think today's announcement was shockingly unshocking. There was not much there. It was a bit underwhelming. The biggest problem, and I think that's why the stock is trading down today, is that they cannot fight Apple Pay. They're losing share to Apple Pay. They have an age demographic issue. Young people don't use it. More older people use it. So our data shows that. And they're facing competition to Venmo from Zelle. So all these three issues, while these new products are really cool and I love them, I don't think they're going to solve the problem.
So what would it take to shock the world right now across not just PayPal, Visa, but say Shopify, Klarna, some of these other companies that are not specifically payments companies, but they're engaging directly with users and trying to ease the experience of showing them and then getting them what they want?
Give you a perfect example. My favorite stock, Firm, right? You mentioned Klarna. Let me talk about another buy now, pay later company. They're shocking the world. I think they're gonna beat significantly. But the most important thing is they have a card now. And so they're shocking the world because now people are starting to use the card. The attach rate on the card goes up. And now with direct deposits, people are starting to use the card more frequently. So you get like a one punch, two punch on this. And that's the magic. The magic is like you're getting to the, close to the customer and you're getting the customer to do more. And there's no sort of secular threat against you, which is what's happening to PayPal, for example, right now.
Yeah, and Affirm certainly has been getting some love from investors, but in general, when you look across the broader fintech universe, every time PayPal has a down day, it seems like everybody's having a down day, whether they're related, whether they're a peer or not.
So, I think he's right about that. Obviously, PayPal is struggling. I don't know if Affirm is going to be the better answer. The problem with Affirm is that, Affirm has run like crazy. Affirm is up like 4x since last year. So I wouldn't be betting on Affirm. Dan is an interesting analyst. He's bullish Robinhood, which I like, but he's bearish Coinbase. And I understand being bearish Coinbase, but Coinbase 5x last year. And he kept touting, Coinbase still sucks. And it's like, dude, at some level, the crypto volumes picked up and like you were kind of wrong on the thesis. But we got CleanSpark running up 11.5% right now, $8.15. So CleanSpark's having a nice day. Why is it running? I think Matt Schultz, the CEO, came out yesterday and he put out some report or some thing about how they're working on more operational efficiency within their Bitcoin mining. I don't know exactly what it is. I got to read through it. Bitcoin is up 3%. That's fine. But really, CleanSpark has deviated, and a lot of the Bitcoin miners have deviated from Bitcoin's price action. Like, I know Bitcoin's up 3% today, and that's why some of these miners might be green. But a lot of them have bottomed. Even when Bitcoin was going below 39,000, they were up yesterday. So I don't know if that's necessarily the correlation here. It might just be because the market is a little bit more excited for some of the ways in which they're going to be able to work with Bitcoin. Remember, the ETF came out 2 weeks ago, and everyone's kind of forgot about Bitcoin now. It's like it's old news. This could come back, and it could come back violently as it gets more catalyst and gets more momentum. It just, it might take some time to play out. But this might be the time where some of these stocks are trying to bottom and find their broader appetite. Also, I think what he said about Venmo is that it's facing competition from Zelle, not that Venmo is facing competition from PayPal. Yeah, I mean Venmo and PayPal. I mean PayPal owns Venmo, right? So it's mainly for Zelle. Venmo to me is not where you check out though. Venmo is where you pay your friends, and they're trying to make it a place where you can check out for small businesses. PayPal is where you check out, right? So Venmo can become a place where you pay your friends and check out, like you order coffee via Venmo versus app. Like that's the ideal thing. You go to your coffee shop, and instead of paying with Apple Pay, like I do, like a lot of people do. I mean, put in the chat how many times you use Apple Pay a day. I use it probably 2-3 times a day when I'm just out and doing stuff. If I could pay with Venmo and get like some type of cash back and get some rewards and get discounts at a local store that I go to all the time, and I know Apple Pay kind of offers this, but maybe I would use Venmo more, right? And so I think that's their vision for how they can compete with Apple Pay if they can integrate Venmo, because they already have such a big network of people that trade or that use Venmo in general. But I only use Venmo to pay some people. I never use Venmo to actually pay for stuff, which is a different change of behavior if they get me to do that. Let's look at Celsius. We got Celsius. Is that green today? Celsius is red a little bit. 53.17 is down 0.25%. SoFi is up a little bit. Tesla 184. Tesla's not falling. I mean, Tesla's not running, but Tesla's not falling either. So that's not too bad. Netflix is down a little bit. Microsoft 404, Google 153. Google above 150 has just been amazing for me to see. I mean, did not expect Google to maintain the 150s, but it is, which is really, really nice. And that's good because I have some money in Google. So we want to see Google do well. We want to see Google be Google. Ashwin says, well, Apple Pay is limited to Apple devices, right? So they bottleneck themselves. Am I wrong? No, you're right. So, I mean, really in parts of the world that use iPhones a lot. So I guess you would say, North America, et cetera. That's where Apple Pay thrives. But in India, Apple Pay is probably non-existent, right? Because very few people are using Apple Pay. I think there's a company called Paytm in India. And that's the company that has a much smarter or much larger monopoly when it comes to the payment space. But in America, Canada, et cetera, Apple Pay is really, really the more exciting, the exciting play. Okay, what else do we got? What else do we have? So we talked about Tesla. We talked about Intel. Definitely talked about PayPal and what's going on with PayPal. Apple Pay outside the US is not the same. Yeah, I would imagine it's probably definitely not as integrated as it is here in Italy. We only use Apple Pay. Yeah, I would imagine in different parts of Europe as well, Apple Pay is integrated very easily. But in you're talking about India, different parts of Asia, different parts of Africa, you probably don't have Apple Pay as like the premier area for it to go higher. So that makes sense. And that's where PayPal's trying to be. That's the other thing about cashback offers. Most of the world doesn't have cashback, and we have to remember that if cashback doesn't exist in most parts of the world, even if it exists in more developed parts, if PayPal has 428 million users, they can bring cashback to different people. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's absolutely a good thing. Not a bad thing at all. Dexter says I use Apple Pay every day. Yeah, and Dexter's in Singapore, so he definitely has experience with Apple Pay. And it is relevant. It's just, if Venmo can be more relevant, then that would be exciting. Let's take a look at this. Oh wow. So instead of Jim Cramer, we got Hannah Goodwin, who says the same thing. Tesla should be kicked out of the Mag 7. I've never seen Hannah Gooch Peters, not Goodwin. Hannah Gooch Peters. Okay. So let's listen to what Hannah Gooch Peters has to say about why Tesla deserves to be out of the Mag 7.
Cramer, very vocal about his thoughts on Tesla right there. Do you agree or disagree? Should Tesla, after that report, should it be booted out of the Mag 7?
It's really interesting, actually, and I do really agree, because if you think about what it takes to be part of the magnificent...
Guys, she has the accent. I can't make fun of her, dude. I'm already in love with her. She has the accent. You guys can make fun of her in the comments. I can't. She has the accent. I'm in love. I'm sorry. It's already happened.
Seven biggest companies in the world. I think the most important aspect is the growth and durability of the cash flows of this business. And I'm not sure that Tesla, when compared to the other companies that are dominating the world indices, is able to show that with the same robustness as the likes of a Microsoft or an Alphabet, for example.
One of his other criteria is that you can't be subject to economic cycles. But in all fairness, aren't all these companies somewhat subject to economic cycles? For example, we saw an ad spending slowdown with Meta. We saw a cloud growth slowdown with some of the other companies. I mean, what company isn't subject to economic cycles?
Yeah, no, that's completely true. But I think also what is important is if you've got that element of cyclicality, what valuation you're paying for this business. And with Tesla, the reality is out of all of the Magnificent Seven, one could argue that it is perhaps one of the more expensive companies you're looking at when looking at the sort of future growth prospects and the overall quality of that business. And in particular, the competition that that company could well face at the end of the day. They are essentially a car manufacturer. When you're looking at companies like Microsoft, for example, it really does have a leading position in what it does. And so I just think that element of quality, when combined with the sort of growth prospects and the moat of that business, just isn't quite as robust.
Okay, so far her argument to me makes no sense, but it's hard for me to keep up with it because that accent, dude. It's so nice. But so far, I don't think she said anything that's interesting. But let's see what else she has to say.
You know, Hannah, it sounds like you're actually adding a new criteria. We might have a fifth one from you, that you need to be a leader in your space. So clearly, Tesla's not a leader in car manufacturing.
What? Did they just what? A leader in your space? Yeah, maybe not car manufacturing, but what EVs, which is the future. I think we can all acknowledge that objectively. Even if you love your gas guzzler EVs, you know are the future. If that's the criteria to be a leader in your space, I don't know who you replace them with. Wow, that's interesting. All right.
There's so many other automakers, Toyota, Ford, et cetera. They make a lot more cars, but there's a lot of excitement about Tesla's next generation vehicle. We had a guest on yesterday. They believe that the next gen vehicle that's supposed to come out sometime in 2025 is going to lead to about 20 million in sales. So maybe it's not as magnificent now, but do you see the potential for Tesla or other companies that see a slowdown but have prospects in the future? Can that keep you in the Mag 7?
I think that with Tesla, and you've actually hit the nail on the head, is you have to look a very, very long way into the future to be able to justify the valuation as you stand today. So you've got sort of say 10 to 15 billion dollars of free cash flow on a market cap, which is far, far larger. And so the valuation of that company, just for those future growth prospects, as it stands at the minute, is very expensive. And you're having to look way out into the future, and you don't know what the competitive threats to that business are going to be over that time. I think for us, we are quality-based investors, and we have a valuation overlay. And so we're looking for the sort of sustainability and durability of an economic moat of the business, the free cash flow and the way it can grow it, and then the valuation you want to pay for those free cash flows. I just think that given the sort of competitive edge that Tesla may or may not have versus those other companies in the business, and the valuation of that company as it stands today, it just doesn't quite stack up, say, some of the other
all right, I'm getting tired of her accent at this point. Look, the thing that's weird to me about what she's saying is that she's making a valuation argument. And I don't understand how these guys like Jim Cramer and Hannah are saying valuation is determinant of the Magnificent Seven. Magnificent Seven, when I think of that, I don't think about valuation. I don't think about NVIDIA being worth almost as much as Amazon. And obviously, in terms of just pure revenue and numbers, like they're probably not at Amazon scale, even though they're growing really well. I don't think about valuation. I think about magnificence. That's it. That's what I think about. I think about pure excellence. Like I think about pure, like unfiltered, just like dominance and value. And that doesn't mean quarter over quarter. Like this is ridiculous to me that they had a crappy quarter, so we got to get rid of them out of the Mag 7. Like, no. What company do you replace them with when you're talking about magnificent companies on the planet? Because it's not Netflix. Just because Netflix found 5 million more people that want to watch Stranger Things. Like, no. That's not it. Like that you're talking about a business that has a moat for the next decade that cannot be competed away. AI, robotics. I mean, the whole, we understand why Tesla's magnificent. So that's a really weird argument for analysts to be saying this because of the valuation. And yeah, the valuation could be overstretched on Tesla right now, given the short-term headwinds, but that doesn't mean it's not magnificent, in my opinion. It really doesn't. That's literally the reason why they're in the Magnificent Seven, though, their market caps. I mean, that's fair. I get it. I'm just saying, even if Tesla falls down to 200-300 billion, then I think you have a point. Tesla falling to 580. I mean, you're not replacing it with Netflix at 200 billion. My interpretation of magnificent just means it's one of the most amazing companies out there, and that's why it deserves to be there. And also, Berkshire Hathaway to me is not, and it can't be a candidate for Mag 7. They're a conglomerate of companies, which is great. It's awesome. But Berkshire Hathaway itself is not like, this one company that's trying to execute. No, they have a bunch of shit that's part of them. So to me, they never really, in my estimates, become a Magnificent Seven. Okay, here's Dan Ives yesterday talking about Tesla's earnings call. Well, let's get some updates on him. This is the full video so we can get some more coverage on this one.
Dead wrong, expecting Musk and team to step up like adults in the room and give a strategic and financial overview. Instead, we got a high-level Tesla long-term view with another train wreck of a conference call. Dan Ives, not holding back, he joins us around the table. Dan, good morning to you.
No, great to be
You
here.
sound disappointed.
Look, I mean, this was an important call where Musk and the rest of the team needed to step up, adults in the room, give some guidance in terms of what's happening on pricing, the margin pressure strategically. And yeah, I'd say train wreck would probably be soft because this was one where the long-term story is intact, but in the near term, they needed to navigate, communicate. They didn't do that. You'll see a lot of pressure on the stock.
Dreadful assessment. Stock is lower by something like 7% in the pre-market. Have you changed your call on the name?
Look, I mean, we're still bullish, but no, from a fair value perspective, I mean, 350 goes toward probably lower threes, 3 to 315 from a base perspective because numbers are going to come down. And the biggest issue here is that you didn't give goalposts. Because by not giving goalposts now, the Bears are going to run with it. And look, the Bears won last night. The long-term story is intact in terms of FSD, in terms of if you're a believer in EV, which we are, $1 trillion market cap, I do believe is on the horizon next few years. But in the near term, I mean, this is one where it's a glass half empty relative to how they talked about it. I mean, this was sort of a 101, not how to do a conference call.
I want to understand what the threshold is for you to say sell. Because we have Elon Musk, who just said, as you said, a train wreck of a conference call was not the adult in the room. He wants 25% of Tesla, or else he's going to walk and go develop some sort of robotics company. If he gets 25% of Tesla's shares, do you say sell?
Look, I think, first of all, I view that as sort of impossible here. There's not going to be a dual class situation from a share perspective. Plus, he did sell, he had 22% ownership before buying Twitter. So part of that in terms of the board will have some sort of comp package. Right now, it's caught in a legal issue in terms of Delaware. But I think if he gets more voting control, that's something that's going to ruffle feathers. But also the problem here is that the plane's crashing in the near term, and you're talking about salted or unsalted pretzels. And that's the biggest problem relative to what's happening in Tesla is that investors want to have some guidance. Give me some financial parameters, and you didn't get it. And look, and obviously we're huge firm believers, and that's the frustration.
Well, okay, as a firm believer then, what does it do to you that Elon Musk came out and basically said, I don't care if this company makes money. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I'm not looking for additional economics, read more money. I just want to be an effective steward of very powerful technology. Does that bother you?
Look, I think in some ways the autonomous is going to be super powerful. And I think even what we saw with OpenAI and Altman, I mean, there's definitely a lot of unintended consequences here. I do believe in Dojo, Optimus. I could argue the value going forward from AI is much more than the EV and the actual value today of Tesla. But for Musk right now to kind of exert that, it's agita, it's Harper. It's the last thing as a bull you want to hear, and it does sort of put gasoline on the fire a little, and that's not what you wanted to hear last night. And it goes back to you needed an adult in the room last night, and instead it felt more preschool type conference call.
Isn't this the cost, though, of doing business and investing in a company with someone like Elon Musk at the helm?
Yes and no. I mean, for investors like that, we've seen it for a decade, right? And you understand you take the good with the bad. But now at this point, this was a huge period to sort of walk investors through, give some goalposts. Zach, CFO with him gone, definitely feels a different type of conference call that we're seeing. And as long-term believers in the story, we remain that in terms on the other side. But in the near term, the Bears won, and it's hard to defend. And that's why you're going to see pressure on the stock today, with 2024 being a trough year in terms of margins.
As a long-term believer of Tesla, Elon Musk also said last night that China will pretty much demolish most other car companies in the world. How are you looking at the space overall? He's basically setting Tesla up to be taken over.
Well, I think it's really Tesla and the Chinese EV players, because the price war that's happening, it's a Game of Thrones price war. It's happening in Beijing. You're seeing it. I think that was the right strategic move in 2023. 2024, you can't continue to go down that path. At one point, you got to hold serve. And as much as we talk about FSD and everything else, for now, it's about, do you continue to cut prices?
Yeah, I think Dan's being pretty objective there. I mean, FSD is the bull case, but for now, it's about do you continue to cut prices and how does that impact margins and volumes of growth? That's it. That's all that matters right now, and that's going to ultimately determine, where the stock is heading out. I know a lot of you guys got to go. I'll probably do Q&A for we'll end the market open in like 2 minutes, and then we'll do Q&A for 15 minutes, especially because I was late today. We usually do Q&A on Fridays, and then we're out. So for anyone who has to go, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining on the market open and joining every stream that you guys have been a part of for the past week. We did a lot of streams this week, a lot of earnings, and next week's not going to be any easier. We got Microsoft, Google, we got a ton of earnings to cover. So it's going to be busy couple weeks, basically busy month of February. And thank you all for spending it with me. Really, really, really appreciate it. Okay, Google 153, Truist 3770, Microsoft 403, Alibaba 73. Alibaba's down a little bit, even though it's up from that low of 63. Palantir 1650, Robinhood 1081. Robinhood selling off just a little bit. Nvidia 609. PayPal 6020. PayPal not getting any momentum after the event. It's just down 5% to be down 5% since yesterday. So that one's struggling a little bit. CleanSpark up 8.6%, selling off a little bit from being up 10%. Celsius down 1.62% on the day. So Celsius continuing to see some downside pressure. And then Tesla 184, not going up, not going down. Overall staying, in a decent range, which is not horrible. arkk, Bitcoin fund is up 3.8%. IBIT, BlackRock fund is up 4%. And that's because Bitcoin itself is up about 3% on the day. And so that's why we're seeing some momentum there. Who reported this morning? I don't think I don't know any big companies that reported this morning. Let me just share this. Visa earnings were yesterday. I said I would show you guys these numbers. So these numbers did come out yesterday, which I'll look at the stock too and just see where it's at. So net revenue, 8.6 billion they beat. Adjusted EPS, they beat. And first quarter payment volume, 3.28 trillion. This is why when people say Bitcoin's going to replace Visa, I kind of just laugh a little bit because I'm like, dude, I don't think Bitcoin volumes on the blockchain are going to replace $3.28 trillion of payments that went through something like Visa. Like maybe one day, but I don't know, dude. 3.28 trillion. It's like, people get mad for buying Robinhood call options. I'm like, dude, you think Bitcoin's going to replace $3.28 trillion of volume in 90 days? So on a trailing 12 months, that's almost 12 trillion. Sorry, 9 trillion. Like that's no, it is 12. Yeah, 3 times 4, 12 trillion. I don't know. I think a call option on Robinhood is a little bit less riskier than imagining Bitcoin's going to replace that. So nonetheless, it's going to, I think it'll take a while. Visa is down 2% because their guidance wasn't the best, but overall they did beat on their numbers, which aren't horrible. Visa net profit margin is the gold standard for fintech. Yeah, I agree. Venmo is huge on gambling sites like DraftKings. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So DraftKings lets you pay with Venmo or lets you fund your account with Venmo. I didn't know that. Interesting. Huh. That's a new piece of due diligence. I'm going to write that down and just put that in my notes, on my PayPal notes. That's very interesting. Venmo, DraftKings. Okay, that's something I got to look into because if Venmo is integrated into the online gambling network, maybe that's an easy way for people to pay with stuff or fund their accounts. Oh, American Express reports today. Okay. Really? They're reporting on a Friday? American Express earnings. They should have done it by now then, right? They're going to report after hours? Oh, no, they did already. They did. Okay, let's look at them. They did. So they raised guidance. Yeah, let's look at this real quick. They raised guidance. They actually had a good earnings. I think their stock is up right now. So Q4 2023 earnings, its total volume network fell short of Wall Street consensus. Q4 EPS of 262, so they missed EPS by a cent. Revenue 15.8 billion. They missed. They increased revenue and they beat expectations. Yeah, they did fine. Acquired 2.9 million new cards, 3.6 billion of profits. Not bad. That's up from 2.76 billion a year ago. That's amazing. That's incredible. Provision for credit losses is up just a little bit, or yes, it's up a little bit. And it's up from the prior quarter. Consolidated expenses were 11.9 billion. Okay, so where's the stock? So they beat on revenue. They missed on EPS. The stock's up 7%. Yeah, look at that. American Express and Visa are not going anywhere yet. They're not going anywhere yet. And that's why it's nice being bullish on Robinhood versus just pure bullish on Bitcoin, because Robinhood's an actual company that benefits from Bitcoin. But if you're just pure bullish on Bitcoin, that it's replacing the entire financial ecosystem and sector, maybe one day, but not today. Not American Express and Visa yet. These are great earnings by American Express. That's amazing. They issue a dividend too, I think. They have a 1.1. Look at that. You're getting 1% dividend and it's up 7% in a day. Where's the stock over the past 5 years? American Express. Oh, wow. It's done really well. Look at this. Look at this chart. This is not a bad chart. SoFi's down 1.2%. Okay, so SoFi's down a little bit. Look at that. It bottomed at 63 during COVID. Now it's at 203. That's more than a 3x. It's up 300% in 3 years. That's incredible. And before the pandemic, it was at 127. So even if you bought it at the highs and DCA'd a little bit, you're still probably up at least 2x, if not 1.5, 1.7x. Wow. I did not think a company like American Express was growing that much, dude. I definitely didn't think their stock was. Let's look at Visa. Where's Visa's chart? It's more of a boring company, but it's definitely a company that's doing well. Yeah, even Visa, they're not as good, but in terms of returns, but 130 during COVID, and now they're at 272, and they got to 240 during 2021. Then they crashed back down to 176. So it's produced some decent returns for shareholders. Obviously, none as good as Bitcoin, but not horrible either. Okay, cool. That will conclude the end of the market open. I'll do word of the day, and then we'll do Q&A for 15 minutes, and then we will be done for this week. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for still being here even though I was late. My stomach was, facing some battles and with the toilet, but we got through that and we made it for the market open. Heteronym is the word of the day.
Heteronym.
A word spelled the same as another but having a different sound and meaning. Isn't that a homophone? Are those the same things? The word wind is a fascinating heteronym with one pronunciation representing moving air and the other representing the act of winding a clock. Or homophone is, I think they're spelled differently, but they sound the same, right? I'm going back to like 3rd grade phonics right now, trying to figure this out. Okay, cool. So heteronym. Lead is a classic heteronym with one pronunciation meaning to guide or direct, while the other refers to a heavy metal. Oh, this is about pronunciation. So lead means to lead a group of people. Led, which is spelled the same, is about metal. This is a cool word, heteronym. All right, so it's describing a word that has a different pronunciation, but spelled the same. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that. It's very cool. Very, very, very cool. Okay, cool. We're done with the market open. We'll do 10 minutes of Q&A. If anyone has any questions, let me know in the chat. Anything about stocks, life in general, we'll do that on this beautiful, beautiful Friday. And then we'll end it out. Who remembers Hooked on Phonics? Dude, those are memories. Those are memories that are coming back right now. Wow. Are you going to join Tanner's live for SoFi earnings or ever hop on a SoFi weekly? So I'm going to be doing SoFi earnings myself on this market open. And then I will hop on the SoFi weekly podcast next Friday to recap earnings. So I'll be back on that podcast next week. But I'll be doing live earnings myself on this channel as well. So that'll be fun. It'll be fun to talk about SoFi. Can you talk about Roth IRA for tax-free trades? Yeah, in general. So what I said today is that I'm buying Robinhood call options in my Roth IRA. The reason I'm doing this is because I see an opportunity in Robinhood to get to about 13, 14 bucks and for me to hopefully double my money based at the price where I'm buying these call options at right now. And earnings is in 2 weeks. That would be like a great, if you just look at the expiration date as well, it would be great to sell after those earnings if we get a nice little run up. The reason I'm doing it in my Roth IRA account is because that is tax-free. So until I'm 59 and a half years old, if I make it there, hopefully, I will be able to then take out that money, and that money will have had 30 years to grow, and I will be taking out that money with paying no taxes on it. So the reason people like trading options in a tax-advantaged account, which a Roth IRA is an example of a tax-advantaged account, is that you can buy and hold a stock in your Roth IRA forever, but you just have to wait for a long time. Now you got 30 years, which is fine. But if you can play with some money and, do some options, and those options can increase your alpha, the amount of money you could make in that Roth IRA and not have to pay taxes on it versus in a regular trading account and have to pay a lot of short-term taxes on it also just means you can make, some more gains in that account as well. And so that is the reason why I'm doing it. Now, the goal is to get Palantir to be in the Roth IRA completely. That is the overall goal. And I'm hoping just like Palantir, I'm not hoping, but if Palantir gets to 15, 14, that is my signal for like really just dumping a lot in there. But I don't have a lot in my Roth IRA because I just started contributing to a year ago. So for me, it's a question of, can I take the money that I do have and make some moves with it and then dump it into Palantir at a great attractive price and then just leave it there for the next 10 years. So we'll see. On Robinhood, you trade these options in the IRA. Correct. You can literally trade it just like you're normally trading it. You just press Roth IRA versus brokerage, and then you can do it there. Can you take out the money before you're 50 tax-free? No, you have to pay taxes and penalties if you take out the money before. So whatever money you put in your Roth IRA, you have to make sure you don't want, like if I make 3X on my 10 grand and it's like 30 grand or whatever, I can't take that out and, go put it into a different stock in my regular account. It has to be in the Roth IRA. So you have to be comfortable once you're contributing money for that to be stuck there until you're 59 and a half. I mean, you can take it out if you really need the money, but if you don't, you should be comfortable just letting it be there. You can pull out your capital anytime. Yes, you can. Again, it's just you have to pay a little bit of a fee. What option strats to use on your Roth? Again, right now it's just Robinhood $25 call option. It's at 40 cents. I think that can easily get to 90 cents by end of March or April if the stock can pump to 13, 14 bucks. I've done a lot of due diligence on Robinhood, guys. So don't buy the options on Robinhood. Don't follow me if you don't understand Robinhood. I've done a lot of due diligence. I think I understand this company very well. I've talked to a lot of people that are smarter than me on how they think about Robinhood. And what I'm seeing right now is accumulation phase. If you understand, if you kind of understand, like reading some of the charts, and I don't fully understand, but I've been, reading what other smarter people have been putting out in terms of due diligence. And it's becoming obvious to me, like it's 75% owned by institutions. A lot of these institutions right now are accumulating at these prices and they're just letting it kind of hover there, and the pop will eventually happen. Now, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I lose money, and it is what it is. But if I'm right, then I think it does very well. So you really got to understand this company if you're trying to invest in them. Here's one of the things I was referring to right here. That is the accumulation phase. This is a really good account on Twitter. I would follow, Income Sharks. So they're showing earnings for February 13th. I think we either break out before or after that. Right now, it's just a matter of accumulating and waiting. And some of the charts they're looking at is when it's depressed at these levels, and particularly it was depressed for 2 years at $7 to $9. A lot of that is institutions loading up and accumulating, given they're almost 80% of the float. So to me, it's a question of, is there an asymmetric return here? And I think there is, but we'll see. We will see. Oh, Sonny says there's no fee to take out the capital, only fee on the gains. Really? I didn't know that. That's news to me. So if I put 7,000 in my Roth and I take out the 7,000, there's no fees. But if I take out the gains on the 7,000, there's fees on the gains. Okay, interesting. I actually didn't know that. So you can take out your money, if Sonny is correct on this, out of the Roth, but you can't take out your gains. That's when you get taxed. Wow, I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that. Manette just says, what brokerage do you recommend other than Robinhood? I like Robinhood. Public.com is an interesting one as well. They're very safe. They take their customer accounts incredibly seriously. They resisted payment for order flow for a long time because they just felt it was kind of an unethical business practice. So public.com, I think, is also a really good one for retail investors. They have a ton of perks and stuff. And then outside of that, Fidelity, I would say they're good. SoFi, I would not recommend. I think SoFi is trash. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, and by the way, I didn't say this last night. Data Driven Investing, who was on the SoFi Weekly podcast last night, who's the biggest SoFi bull in the world, he said last night, yeah, there's no comparison between SoFi and Robinhood. And he was kind of anti-Robinhood for a while. Then he signed up for an account, and he's been trading options on this for the past 3 months. And he's just like, yeah, dude, there's no comparison at this point. This is this is Robinhood. It's their market. So if you want something easy to use, I wouldn't use SoFi. I would use Robinhood. Weird. You just said Income Sharks, and that account just commented on my post. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. That's legit. Kelly, can you put your post in the chat, and I'll go to your exact post? That's so cool. You can't replace the capital, but you need to have the Roth open for at least 5 years. Okay, let's ask Bard, because we're struggling on this. So let's ask Bard. What is Bard saying? So let's ask Bard a question. Okay, so if I put in money in my Roth IRA, can I take out the initial capital and not get taxed on it? Let's just see what it says. Let's see what Bard does. Bard is usually good for some of this stuff versus ChatGPT. ChatGPT will be like, oh, searching with Bing, and then it'll give you some bullshit. Like, okay. Yes, you can take out the initial capital contributions you put into your Roth IRA at any time without incurring taxes or penalties. This is one of the key benefits of a Roth IRA compared to traditional IRAs. However, there are some important things. You can only withdraw contributions, not earnings. So we know that. No gains. Withdrawing contributions reduces your future retirement savings. While there's no penalty for taking out your contributions, remember that this money was meant to grow tax-free. Okay, so that's fine. Make sure you're withdrawing from the right source. Interesting. Cool. So you can actually take out your initial capital. I did not know that. That's incredible. That's actually really interesting. I thought when it's there, it's stuck, and you're gonna have to suffer with your money there, and either it's gonna grow or not, but you can't really do anything about that. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, what did Kelly say on her thing? Let's share this tab. So Kelly said 137,000 people saw me buy Tesla at 210 before earnings. That's embarrassing. She bought 10 shares before earnings. Income Shark says the time to buy more is now. Yeah, dude. Income Sharks is an interesting account. They follow a lot of the accumulation and a lot of the volumes on some of these stocks. And right now they're saying there's a ton of stocks that are in that buy territory, and Robinhood is one of them. Interesting. You can't put it back. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if you could put it back, then people would just be doing that. People would be running fucking like little schemes on their Roth. They would just be putting in money, getting some gains, taking it out, putting in money. So that makes sense. You can't put it back out. You obviously can't put it back in, which that's the problem. It reduces your compounded growth over 30 years. Now, if you make some gains off of it, you can keep the gains there. But if you didn't double or triple it, then those gains are not going to grow the same way that overall the money would grow as well. Interesting. Okay. Robinhood in Canada when? We need better options. Yeah, I don't know, dude. You guys banned payment for order flow. So that's the same thing the UK. The UK banned payment for order flow. So that's why Robinhood is not in Robinhood is in the UK, but they're in the UK they're partly in the UK, right? They're in the UK, but they're doing a gold membership. So they're not making money off payment for order flow. If Canada allowed it, I think they would go tomorrow, but Canada doesn't allow, so they have to figure out how they can penetrate that market without pissing off the Trudeaus of the world. Why do you guys keep voting for Trudeau? Like, all the media coverage I see is that you guys hate Trudeau and you guys keep voting for him. So I don't know. And I don't know the guy. I have no opinion on him, by the way. I don't know if he's good or bad. I have zero opinion on Trudeau. But it seems like people don't like him. All I know is that he did blackface once. And he was apologizing a lot by that. But a lot of you guys seem to hate this dude. And he keeps winning somehow. Just keeps winning. I don't know. Netflix 569. Alibaba 73. Again, you guys can put any questions in the chat. Tesla 182. CleanSpark falling off a little bit now, 6.57. Palantir, if you're subscribed to the newsletter, which if you're not subscribed, I don't know why, dailypalantir.substack.com. I talked about Palantir's partnership with Caresoft yesterday. I'm bullish on the partnership. I thought it was actually really good. That partnership to me was exciting. And it means that they're going to further, speaking of Canada, that partnership is specifically to expand into the Canadian government to sell software. Caresoft is a middleman that helps you sell software to governments, and they're now expanding to Canada. It means that the partnership's working with Caresoft. They started that in 2022. Caresoft is a systems integrator, basically a middleman, a sales distributor for Palantir software, for all government software. And now they're expanding into Canada, which is great because expanding into Canada just means that the partnership's working well enough for them to go into Canada. So that is a good thing. Speaking of Caresoft, I want to know what their revenues are. Caresoft revenues. I would like to know if there's any public information because they've been working with Palantir for a while. I want to know how big that company is. It just has Bard. Wow. Holy crap. This is a big company. I would have put this in the newsletter if I knew this. Caresoft's revenue is above $9 billion. In 2020, they reported $6.6 billion. 2021, they're estimated to be $9 billion. Oh my God. This is one of the largest public companies in America. I did not know they were this big of a company. So again, Caresoft is a company. Let me go to their website that works with government IT solution providers like Palantir. I did not know these guys print $6 billion a year in revenue. And again, this was the PR yesterday. They are working with Palantir in Canada. So it's not just the United States. It seems like they're a little bit more international with government solutions. That's a really cool deal. For them to be working with Palantir, that's even a bigger deal. I thought they were like a small little, sales distributor. They're like a big, big company that's helping Palantir sell. That's great stuff. The other reason this is bullish is because Palantir's government growth sucks. That Wall Street Journal article that came out the other day, pretty much said that they're not growing. So we need to make sure that government growth, especially international, grows higher as well, which is important. Ray said, how many pounds do you want to lose again? I'm about to start working out, trying to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 159. I want to lose 14 pounds. So 145. 145 is what I want to get to. which I'll get to by the end of February. I mean, I'm gonna get there. Like, dude, losing weight is not hard for me. I've done so many weight loss journeys throughout my life, and within a month and a half, I'm down like 20, 25 pounds. And I know it sounds crazy because you're only supposed to lose like 5 pounds in a month. I don't know how it is with my body, dude. I know how to lose weight. Like, when I get into the zone, I easily lose weight. Losing weight has never been hard. The problem is that shit comes back really quickly if I like slack off. And like, I'm trying to get to the point where I can lose weight and I can reasonably not gain it back by, and granted, I have to give myself some not credit here because I after November, I just ate like a pig because of Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, the reason it came back, it's like, it's not because I have some abnormality in my body. It's like I was eating way more calories than I needed to. So, that's the problem. So we have 2 comments about my weight. Kelly says, you literally starve yourself. Zocol says you're young and your metabolism is good. I think Zocold's comment is a much better comment than Kelly's comment. And so I think the youth that I have and the metabolism that I have is contributing to the ease of which I can lose weight versus what Kelly said. I think that's better. Wait till you're in your 30s, bro. Enjoy it while it lasts. Dude, I'll be there soon. I'll be there in 4 years. Everyone's like, wait till you're in your 30s. I'll be there. Once you're 27, you're basically 30. And I'll be 27 in 8 months. You're basically 30 years old, dude. So to me, I'll be there very soon. I will be there very soon. And when I'm there, we'll see what happens. Yo, my back started hurting when I was 23, dude. So I can't imagine what happens when I'm 30. It might be a better comment, but mine is truthful and you know it. No, dude, metabolism is way better than saying you starve yourself. You're acting like I'm anorexic. Dude, I remember watching Degrassi. Speaking of Canada, by the way, it's so funny because Degrassi was a big Canada show. And in the States, it was so popular back in like 2011. And there was this girl who they did this episode. It was like about teenage issues. So they talked about all these different things teens go through. Drake was on that show for a while. And there was this girl who was bulimic and anorexic at the same time. So she would like go to the bathroom. I remember watching the shit when I was like 11 years old, and she would like take her finger and like do that thing. I don't know what you call it at the bottom of your throat or whatever. And then like she would throw up. She would make herself throw up. And I was like, yo, why are these people doing that? That's so wild. And now as I got older, I'm like, oh, because no one wants to be fat. Like that's the crazy. Like now, granted, that's an extreme part of it. But you know, the weight can get to you when you get older. You know, it can be especially when you're a teenager and you're being judged by your peers and all that. It's so wild to think about that because now I think when I was in high school and some of the concerns I had about how people were judging me, and at 26 years old, I'm like, dude, I could give less of a fuck about what the kids in high school think of me. But when you're in high school, you're in that moment. You're just like Emma. Yep, her name was Emma. You're in that moment. You're just like, oh my God, like what happens if blah, blah, blah says XYZ. And now it's just like, now there's 523 people here and I'll say a stupid joke and I don't care what anyone has to say. I'll just fucking do it. I won't care. Speaking of jokes, dude, I saw this morning during the stream. I can't believe Chris actually apologized for this. Chris put out an apology today. Chris must have felt bad, dude. I saw this when one of the videos was playing. I didn't even know this. Chris said, Tesla boom. Oh, he got blocked. Did I get blocked? Dude, I'm curious. Did I get blocked by her? Let me see. I'm about to search my name. Did I get blocked by the mama? Nope. I'm clean. I didn't get blocked yet. So what did he say? Did he delete his apology? Is his apology still there? Oh, no, he's there. Okay, so he said, on Finance Junkies last night, I said some things that were way out of line. I had just woken up from some choppy sleep and was a bit confrontational. I will strive to be a lot more measured and professional with my comments going forward. There are times for jokes and sometimes people take them too far. I definitely did regret saying them. Okay, Chris. I love you, Chris. But personally, I disagree with your apology. The reason people like Finance Junkies is because we're raw and it's not just finance. Everyone knows Chris knows his fucking finance. See, let me talk about Chris for a second. Chris is a content creator at heart, okay? Chris is up $300,000 on Verizon. All of his Patreons are making bank on Verizon. So you don't have to doubt his ability to understand the stock market. But Chris has one of the things most finance people don't have, which is a personality, okay? And in order to be successful in content, you need a personality. Here's my metric. This is actually a really interesting topic. So what did Chris say last night? Chris said last night, Sawyer Merritt, the dude who's like just obsessed with Tesla, you know, he'll let Elon jizz in his mouth. That to me is very funny. Now, is it out of line? I don't think so. Because here's my barometer. And I think this barometer, I don't think a lot of you guys can disagree with this. Elon Musk himself has said the most insane things about politicians, about Mark Zuckerberg, about Tim Cook. He said Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have a big dick. He said fucking one of these politicians was like masturbating all the time or something. He said crazy shit, dude. He said one of the politicians' profile pictures looks like they're coming. Like, he said ridiculous stuff. If the world's richest man and greatest entrepreneur can say that stuff, Chris Patel can make a joke on a podcast that gets 5,000 views. I'm sorry. He said, go F yourself. He said, go F yourself. So I think the reason Chris apologized is because, Chris is a good person and he feels bad about it. But to be honest, I don't think there's a reason to apologize, dude. First of all, I don't even know if Sawyer Merritt even saw what he had to say. Second of all, Sawyer Merritt in media, to me, it's no hold bars. Okay. In media, everyone uses everyone for likes and clicks and attention. Sawyer has built an entire career off literally following every little thing Elon has said, despite a lot of times when Elon has been wrong. So when Elon has said some crazy shit, you don't see Sawyer, being like, oh, we need to, correct Elon on this. When Elon said the anti-Semitic stuff, where was Sawyer? Where was Sawyer? Where was he saying, oh, Elon needs to be accountable? Because pretty much everyone on the planet could be like, yo, that was fucked up. And Elon admitted it was fucked up. So even if you're an Elon fanboy, the shit he said about Jewish people, like, yeah, it was uncalled for. Okay. Is he anti-Semitic? Is he a hateful person? No, but it was uncalled. It was a bad comment. It was a bad comment. Where was Sawyer at that moment? Was Sawyer saying, oh, we need to hold Elon accountable? No. No, he was chilling. He was. So my thing is that when you're using media for attention and you're using other people's names, everyone has to deal with everyone. That's why, it's like strongman personal finance and these people, they'll make videos about me. I just laugh about it. I'm just like, okay, whatever. I make videos about Alex Karp. I put Karp in the thumbnail. So if you're going to put my face on the thumbnail, okay, go ahead, have fun, whatever. To me, in media, you have to be unemotional about this. This is a competitive game. You want to have integrity. But if you're making some jokes, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I really, really don't. So Elon has FU many, not everyone does. Yeah, but Chris's joke last night was not putting him in jeopardy of it. I mean, like, what? He would get blocked on Twitter? Okay, so like Chris has some level of FU money as well. I mean, that's not affecting any of his money. So to me, I mean, I get why Chris apologized, but to defend him a little bit, it's not that serious. It's a joke. And if the world's richest man can make all these jokes publicly to 170 million followers, you can make some jokes on a podcast. It's not that serious. Now, granted, I wouldn't say what he said because it was very vulgar. Okay. And that's why I think he apologized, because he didn't want to be as vulgar about it. I make jokes that I think are sometimes, edgy, but I don't think they're super vulgar. And if they're vulgar, it's about me. It's not about someone else, because I'll take the self-deprecation. But I wouldn't say, Sawyer would let someone jizz in his mouth. Like, I wouldn't say that. But Chris is a content creator. He has a personality. And if you have a personality, sometimes it comes out, Who's the most loaded on Finance Junkies? Who's got the most millions behind their words? It's definitely not me. So you guys know that. I don't know. I don't know who's the most loaded. They're all millionaires. I mean, they all have done well for themselves. So in 2023, in terms of returns, I think Chris beat everybody. Well, granted, I don't know, because Bitcoin. Because in terms of stocks, Enphase tanked and Tesla didn't do amazing. So those are Vitalik and Carlos's main stocks. And Chris had SMCI, he had Weight Watchers, he had TFC, he had Meta, etc. But Bitcoin did really well. So that might have put Carlos and Vitalik in a good spot as well. So yeah. You explaining why Chris didn't need to apologize after he apologized is useless. Just move on. It's not even about you. Yeah, I'm just addressing it in general. I'm just like, this is the thing about being a content creator. You go through these ups and downs, and sometimes you say stuff and you feel bad about it. And look, I've had those experiences as well. But in my opinion, it doesn't have to be that serious, because as soon as you take content super seriously, like even the beef I had with Sawyer yesterday, you guys know I was playing it up because it was fun, dude. Like, I mean, let's take a look at that tweet. How many views does that tweet have? How many views does that tweet have? Because to me, I saw it as an opportunity to have fun. That's all. I didn't like, if it was a real beef, we would be like legitimately like, going back and forth. We're not going back and forth. It's just a little disagreement. That's all it is. But the tweet, wow, dude, because of him quote tweeting me, that tweet is at 526,000 views. That is crazy. That's the power of Twitter, bro. That's the power of like just putting out your thoughts and ideas and being consistent. And then Sawyer retweeted me, and his quote tweet has 518,000 views. And then my response to him has 102,000 views. This is why I played it up, dude. It was fun. You just keep it going. It's fun. And again, it's a good disagreement. It's a healthy debate is good. This was a very healthy debate. By the way, I got a bunch of DMs last night about Dojo, and almost everyone in my DMs was like, dude, I 100% agree with you. Dojo was absolutely touted as a super big bull case, and now it seems like the tone is flipped. So again, my point was that's how it felt. Sawyer's trying to make it seem like that's not how it was represented, which really is an egregious sort of misleading way, because to me, you're trying to defend someone that doesn't deserve to be defended here. You should defend Elon when the Wall Street Journal puts out a hit piece against him, not when he's objectively wrong in this scenario. And that was my beef with him. I'm like, dude, you're painting this in such a weird way. Like, why can't you like, if Alex Karp said some stupid shit, I'll say he said some stupid shit. Like, I think I have in the past, dude. When Karp said we weren't going to be profitable to 2025, I was like, that's not good. You promised 30% growth, and now you're saying we're not even going to be profitable. Now, granted, he underpromised, over-delivered because we're profitable. That's great. But I reacted at them. I wasn't being like, well, that's okay because profitability at 5 years after going public, that's not a big. I was like, no. I was like, that sucks. It's okay to admit sometimes that things suck. But it is what it is. It was fun. Amidst craving that beef because he's fasting, dude, my stomach right now, I'm so hungry. But I said I was fasting, so I can't eat, dude. And I'm fasting with Kelly. Me and Kelly both are fasting today, so I can't even lie about it. Like I really gotta not eat. Like I just can't eat. I can't eat. Amid, have you looked to see which companies report any good earnings report this morning? Let me pull it up right now. There's a good account on Twitter that does that. Earnings Whisper, Earnings Watcher. Let's see. So we had American Express. Let's see who else. I think that's it. Is that American Express? Is that it? I'm looking at their thing right now. Okay, here it is. Oh, no, there's more than that. Wait, no, this is January 25th. So this is January 25th. So now we need January 26th. Okay, here it is. So we have American Express. We have, yeah, I know, Booz Allen Hamilton. I mean, yeah, none of these are that exciting. Bank United, I think that's a regional. Volvo, if you care about the Volvo car company. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. There's nothing that exciting. But this is I'll put this in the chat if you want to check it out. Nothing too crazy. Kelly, am I allowed to have a latte? Can I drink one latte? Can I do that? Let me know. Can I have I was going to text you this, but let me just know right now. Can I have a latte and that's it for the fast, or am I not allowed to have a latte? It's just a latte. It's just a caramel iced latte. I know I always was a white girl at heart. That's it. You interrupted Carlos's speech last night and said, I don't care about any of this. He tried to dunk on me. Shit was hilarious. Dude, because Carlos was trying to be like, yeah, but the GPU and the FSD, it's so important. And I was like, dude, I don't care. He tried to disrespect me. Okay? Let's get it fully 1000% correct. He tried to quote tweet me with another tweet that implied that everything I was saying was false, misleading, and basically I was wrong to feel the way I did about Elon saying what he said about Dojo. That is what his quote tweet implied. Okay? So Carlos was going off on all the, like, Carlos wasn't even laughing when Chris was joking about sorry, because Carlos respects him too much. I was like, dude, Carlos, it's funny. He's like, Chris just made such a funny joke. It's a vulgar joke, but it's funny. So when Carlos started going on the technicals, I was like, dude, I don't care. He tried to dunk on me. And I'm not getting dunked on. No way, Jose. Because if you let one bully dunk on you, I'm not saying he's a bully, but in that moment he was being very bullious. Just made up a word there. If you let one guy dunk on you, then you become someone who can get dunked on. And I'm not someone who's going to get dunked on, bro. I'm going to fight back. And I think I fought back. My quote tweet got 100,000 views. And my quote tweet, if you look at the replies under that quote tweet, go under it. There's a lot of people agreeing with me, bro. A lot of people. So we had to intercept that dunk. We did. Okay, Kelly said I can have a latte because she's drinking one too. So she's only giving me permission because she's drinking one as well. So we're both going to have a latte. Thoughts on what is the story behind the brick wall? You know what's ironic about this? Me and my mom are going to change this background. So my mom hates this background. She hates this background. Okay. The brick wall is going to stay, but over the next coming weeks, we're going to like make this really cool. Because to be honest, so we have a TV right there. I think that TV should be on this wall and it should have Bloomberg playing behind it the whole time. So I think we're going to make this like really cool, but we're going to get rid of this background. But in terms of the brick wall, so when I started making YouTube early back in November 2021, I had a blue wall. Okay. And that blue wall was so like boring that I was like, we need to have a different wall here because this is really boring. We got a brick wall instead. I just looked up on Amazon like brick wall wallpaper, and that brick wall wallpaper was like $15. It was cheap and it was sticky. All you have to do is stick it up. So I was like, okay, perfect. I can just stick it on the wall. And then I order it and I start sticking it and I realize, by the way, the bricks are still real. I know I just said I ordered it from Amazon and that it's like sticky, but what I meant to say is that I ordered the sticky like glue you put on the real bricks. So that's what I'm saying is sticky, but the bricks themselves are still real. So I ordered it and I start sticking it up and I realize that it's a little uneven. And so I try to just like make sure that I can cover some of the uneven parts. And I kind of failed because everyone's like, why are the bricks uneven? And even though I tried to convince people like, no, the glue is just a little uneven and it's making, it's like they kind of came to this hypothetical assumption that the bricks aren't real. And, it is what it is. I mean, people can believe the rumors that they want. The bricks are real, but the glue that I did to stick the bricks together, that became a little uneven. So that's why it looks like the bricks are off, right there. It looks like it's not necessarily correct, but they are real. The glue just stuck in the wrong way. So we will still have the bricks on the background. It's just we're going to be replacing all this junk in the back and make it sound pretty cool. So yeah, that's the story behind the bricks. They are still real. They are incredibly real. Just please remember that. Say mortar, babe, not glue. Okay, the mortar. What does mortar mean? Define mortar. Mortar definition. A short, smooth bore. Mortar is a mixture of water, sand, and cement. Okay, so the mortar. We would be using the mortar. The mortar instead. Oh, he's kidding. No, I'm dead ass. I don't know what the fuck mortar is. Why do you guys think I'm kidding? I don't know what mortar is. It's mortar. Is that how you say it? Mortar? Hold on. How does Google say it? Oh, it's mortar. Okay.
Mortar.
It sounds like murder.
Mortar.
Okay. So mortar. Anyway, the mortar that I opened from Amazon, that I ordered from Amazon, that's what got the bricks to not be in the best situation. That's all. Man, how you pronounce things sometimes is so cringe. It is what it is, dude. It is what it is. It's how he talks. Dude, I'm so bad with like building stuff. Like the fact that I fixed the vacuum the other day, my mom was so happy. I think I told you guys that story. I'm an intellectual. I talk, and that sounds so cocky, but like I like communication. Like if you ask me to build a tent, dude, I would rather do anything than build a tent. I don't want to build a tent. I don't care. I just don't care. Now I'm a problem solver. For example, I find things very quickly in the house, right? Like, dude, there was this story. Let me tell you guys this quick story. Okay, I found something last week. I'm forgetting what I found, but I found it. My mom was so happy that I found it, and she couldn't find it for so long, and I figured it out. Also, I fixed the dishwasher yesterday. That's what I did. So the dishwasher, when you close the dishwasher, the water wasn't coming out, and it was just making this weird sound. And I was just like, what is going on? I spent an hour toying with it back and forth, and then long story short, I fixed it and it started working. And it was making this annoying sound if you didn't fix it. Like it was really bad. And my mom was just like trying to relax. And it was so I do know how to like fix things. Okay. And I know how to find things, but I don't like building things. So let me tell you guys the story. My mom, when we lived in a different house, this was probably 15 years ago. My mom was a math tutor. Okay. She was a teacher, and to make extra money, she taught math. Right? And she had a bunch of kids come over to our house. We basically had this like illegal math operation going on in the house where we paid no taxes on on like the, I don't know, $50 an hour my mom made on this. And that's how we had some side money. And she would have like 5 kids at a time doing math work. Okay. Now my mom was a really nice person, and these kids were coming from underprivileged areas. It was in Newark, New Jersey, and that area is not the best if you know anything about New Jersey. And so these kids that came, my mom would drive them back and forth to their houses. Sometimes she would drive them to the bus stop, right? So she was really like a mom tutor versus a math tutor. when it comes to teaching kids. And so so I became friends with all these people. A lot of them were older girls that were freshmen, sophomores in high school. And I was like in 3rd or 4th grade. And I would come downstairs and I would just like, I would just make jokes and I would have fun. And, they would just like mess with me. Like it was just like fun because they were older. And when they had a break from working, we would just joke around. One of these girls, my mom dropped her off to the bus and she had the T-Mobile Sidekick. Okay. The T-Mobile Sidekick, when she got on the bus and she got back home, she realized her Sidekick was gone. Okay. And she calls my mom and she's like, hey, Miss Kukraja, did I leave my T-Mobile Sidekick? You guys remember the Sidekick, right? You guys are old enough to remember that? I'm saying that as I'm the youngest one here. The T-Mobile Sidekick, I wanted this phone so badly. This was this phone. Let me show you this real quick. It was a big ass phone, but it was cooler than the BlackBerry because it literally like flipped up. It was so cool. This thing right here. It was so cool, dude. I remember wanting it so badly. Like it was so cool. Now look at it, it's like ancient, but it was so cool at the time. Like it was literally the coolest thing ever. And so I remember I played with it. The girls that came to my mom's house for shooting, I used to play with their sidekicks. So she's like, Miss Kukraja, can you check your house if the sidekick's there? And my mom's like, the sidekick's not here. It's gone. And so my mom says, hey, maybe, it fell somewhere while we were driving you. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was pitch black. It was 11 p.m. My mom drives to the bus stop. Okay. I cannot make this up. We drove to the bus stop and my mom says, hey, maybe it's around here because maybe it fell out of her pocket. Now, what are the chances that the sidekick fell out of her pocket? It's in a black case and it's on the floor. Most likely, it would have fell off on the bus or whatever. Like, what are the chances? Through the window of my car, I see this black like thing in a case. It's stuck beneath some rocks. And I'm like, mom, stop the car. And it's a little bit away from the bus stop. It was like, I would say like at least 10 or 15 feet from the bus stop. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I got out of the car and I ran to it. It was busy traffic on this like intersection. And then I picked it up and I was like, I found it. It's her sidekick. And it was the craziest shit ever, dude. And I brought it back to my mom and I was like, we got it. We found it. And that girl was so happy that we found it because otherwise, someone else would have found it and they would have taken the phone. So all that to say, this was when I was this is 2009. I had to be 12 years old or something. I couldn't believe I found it. Ever since then, my mom gave me the reputation of finding stuff. And so if there's a lost hammer or there's like anything in the house, she's like, please, can you try to find it? So I've always had that reputation. I can find things. I like finding things. But when it comes to mortar and building things, I don't like building things because it's not, it's not that I don't like it. I'm just not as interested as like, coming up with really good tweets and like putting them out there. Like that's really, I think, where my strengths are. So, yeah, that's what I do. It was the wrong sidekick, but it would have been a better story. But that was cool. That's why he's an investor. You find gems. Yeah. Well, the stock market, trying to find gems is way different than trying to find some of these tangible things. This one is a whole different level of intellectualism that you have to put in to try to get these right. But I think that's also why I like the stock market, because it's a game. It's a fun game, and you're trying to win the game, and you're trying to find things in this game and trying to be correct about it. You're trying to make arguments. Like that's why it's fun. That's why it's a good time. I'm an intellectual, can't pronounce words. This intellectual that is saying mortar instead of mortar. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, I think that's it. I think fun market open. Thank you everybody for being here. I'll be here for the market close, 3:45. We'll end it out on the week, and then we'll have Pounter Weekly. Daily Pounter episode will probably be coming out like 1 p.m.ish, 1:30. I haven't done an episode in 2 days because of all these earnings calls, and it's really hard to put out a video when you're live streaming the whole day. So that'll be up at 2 p.m. And yeah, that's it. We'll go from there. You should have a debate pod since you debated in 2016. Dude, Alex, I did. Maybe one day I will share you guys the unlisted channel. Me and my boy David, we did a debate podcast. We did it for a year. We did a ton of episodes. We had a lot of debates back and forth. And I thought that would be like my foray into becoming a superstar when it comes to content. It didn't work. I think we got 1,000 subs on the channel, but eventually the video is just, the YouTube algorithm is a different beast, dude. To build a community is a different beast. To have the creativity to keep going is a different beast. But that was my first time. As soon as I graduated college, I was like, all right, this is my first idea when it comes to content. Not my first idea. It was actually like my 7th idea, but I was like, oh, I have a partner here. We could make it, blah, blah, blah. That's why I like Finance Junkie so much. And that's why I say, hey guys, we got to go every day, because if you don't go every day, if you're not consistent, it's not going to grow. but I tried it. I have the whole channel on YouTube. Maybe one day I'll share it with you guys, and you guys just watch. If you want to binge the videos, you can. We had some fun debates, dude. We had some really fun debates. Me and David. He's still one of my best friends. I haven't seen it. We said we would hook up over Christmas break and meet up, but we didn't get a chance to meet up. So we'll try to do that. No FJ Sunday. Yeah, we got to stop on Sundays, guys. Sundays is just, it's becoming hectic for me. I have like too many things going on Sundays and family time and all that stuff. So probably just Monday through Thursdays now as well. Can you find the Game Boy I lost in 2000? Dude, I remember the Game Boy. I have my Game Boy Advanced SP, my Nintendo. Maybe one day I could find it, Broccoli, but I love Game Boys. I love it. What happened to Gabe? I have no idea. Gabe, I know he was shorting NVIDIA at one point. I don't know if he kept his short in NVIDIA, but I don't know, dude. Content's competitive. Gabe started a YouTube channel and then he stopped posting because it's hard. It's very difficult. And so I have no ill will towards Gabe. He's a good guy. He's a cool person. But he doesn't participate on YouTube that much anymore because I don't know. Sometimes you grow out of it. Sometimes you don't want to make content. Sometimes if you're not making content, you don't want to see other people consuming content, or sometimes you're just silently watching and you're not saying stuff. Maybe that's what it is. But content's competitive. It's a very competitive game. And I realized I had to go if I was going to go all in on it, you really got to go all in because the algorithms will forget about you. The people will forget about you. And if you want to build a long lasting community, you got to do this shit for years. Like Sawyer Merritt, dude, as much as I'm playing around with the beef we had, 600,000 followers got him 10,000 views on a tweet, on a quote tweet of me, not even an original tweet, a quote tweet of me in 20 seconds. Like that's the level of distribution and reach you can have if you stay at it for years and you love doing it. And credit to him, he's been covering Tesla for like a decade now. So, but you got to be consistent. You got to keep going and keep doing what you got to do. All right, that's it for me, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll see you guys at 3:45. Have a great Friday. If I don't see you, enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Spend some time with some family. Get some good food. Go out. Take a walk. Hopefully, it's good weather where you are. And I will see you guys later today. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.